The day Daniel Carter decided to pretend he was paralyzed was the day his life quietly began to change forever. Daniel was only 32, but he was already a millionaire. His tech company in Toronto had exploded in value, and money flowed into his life faster than he could spend it. He owned a penthouse overlooking the skyline, drove cars that most people only saw in magazines, and dated a woman who seemed perfect in every photo she posted online. Her name was Victoria. Beautiful, elegant, and always dressed like she was walking into a fashion show, Victoria loved the lifestyle Daniel provided. Expensive restaurants, weekend trips to Vancouver, designer bags, luxury parties, she fit perfectly into the world of wealth. But one evening, after overhearing a conversation at a charity gala, doubt crept into Daniel's mind. Victoria had been laughing with her friends near the balcony. Honestly, she said casually, sipping champagne, Daniel is sweet, but if he ever lost his money, I'd probably disappear faster than the Wi-Fi at my cottage. Her friends laughed. Daniel stood behind the curtain and felt something in his chest tighten. That night, lying in bed, he couldn't stop thinking about her words. Did she love him, or just the life he gave her? For days the thought haunted him. Finally, Daniel made a decision that even his closest friends thought was insane. He would test her. 2 weeks later, Victoria received the shocking news. Daniel had been in a terrible car accident on the highway. The report said his spine was damaged, and he might never walk again. When Victoria rushed into the hospital room, Daniel lay in the bed, motionless from the waist down. Machines beeped softly beside him. Her face was pale. "Oh my God, Daniel," she whispered. He forced a weak smile. "The doctors say I might not walk again." For a moment, Victoria looked stunned. She hugged him, told him everything would be okay. But something had changed. Over the following weeks, Daniel noticed it. At first she visited daily. Then every few days. Soon, only once a week. Her conversations grew shorter, her patience thinner. One evening, she sighed while pushing his wheelchair across the living room of his penthouse. This is just really hard," she said. "My life has completely changed." Daniel looked at her quietly. "Mine too." A week later, she ended the relationship. "I'm sorry," Victoria said, standing near the door with her designer handbag. "I didn't sign up for a life like this." The door closed, and Daniel finally had his answer. But what he didn't expect was what would happen next. With Victoria gone, Daniel needed help around the house. His assistant hired a live-in maid named Sophia. Sophia was a quiet woman in her late 20s who had immigrated to Canada from the Philippines. She didn't wear expensive clothes or makeup like Victoria. Her hair was usually tied back, and she spoke softly. The first day she arrived, she greeted Daniel with a warm smile. "Good morning, sir." But unlike others, she didn't look at him with pity. She just treated him like a person. At first their conversations were simple. She would cook meals, clean the apartment, and help him move around. "Careful," she would say gently while adjusting the wheelchair. "We don't want you racing down the hallway." Sometimes she made little jokes that made Daniel laugh for the first time since the accident. Weeks passed, then months. Sophia never complained. She helped him into bed, cooked homemade meals, and even sat with him on the balcony some evenings, watching the lights of Toronto shimmer across Lake Ontario. One night during a snowstorm, the power flickered out across the building. The apartment grew quiet. Daniel sat by the window while snow fell heavily outside. Sophia lit a few candles and brought him a cup of tea. "You must miss your old life," she said softly. Daniel looked out at the snow. "I thought I would," he admitted. "But, strangely, this feels more real." She smiled gently. "You're still the same person. Walking or not." Those words stayed with him. For the first time in his life, Daniel realized someone cared about him, not his wealth, not his success, but simply him. Over time, their friendship deepened. They talked about everything. Sophia told him about her family back home, the sacrifices she made to support them. Daniel shared stories of building his company from a small apartment and the loneliness that came with success. One evening, months later, Daniel watched Sophia laughing at something on her phone. Her laugh was simple, genuine, beautiful. And in that moment, Daniel felt something unexpected. He had fallen in love. But guilt followed quickly, because Sophia believed he was paralyzed. One night, Daniel made a decision. "Sophia," he said quietly from the living room. She looked up. "Yes, there's something I need to tell you." His heart pounded. The accident, it wasn't real. She stared at him, confused. Daniel slowly stood up from the wheelchair. Her eyes widened in shock. You can walk." "Yes," he said gently. "I pretended to be paralyzed. I wanted to know if someone loved me for who I am, not for my money." For a moment, the room was silent. Sophia looked hurt. "You tested people?" she asked softly. Daniel lowered his head. "I know it was wrong. But when Victoria left, it showed me the truth. And when you stayed, you showed me something else." She didn't speak. Finally, Daniel said the words that had been building in his heart for months. "I fell in love with you, Sophia. Not because you helped me. Because you're kind, honest, and stronger than anyone I know." Sophia's eyes filled with tears. "You scared me," she said quietly. "But I stayed because I cared about you. Not because of money." Daniel stepped closer. "I know. That's why you're the only person who ever passed the test I didn't even know I was giving." For a long moment, neither moved. Then Sophia slowly smiled. "You're lucky I'm a forgiving person." Daniel laughed softly, relief flooding his chest. And months later, the penthouse that once felt empty became a home filled with laughter, warmth, and real love. Because sometimes, the greatest wealth in life isn't money. It's the person who stays beside you, even when they believe you have nothing left to offer.